Yo, what's good, basketball heads? It's your boy Crush. Let's talk about Giannis' response in the post-game interview after losing to the Heat in Game 5. So Giannis was asked, do we consider the season a failure? And he got real agitated. And his response was, no, it's not a failure. It's a process, and you don't win all the time. He even went as far as using a Michael Jordan analogy, saying Michael Jordan played 15 seasons and he only won 6 championships. Was the rest of his career a failure? The 9 years he didn't win? And then the Inside the NBA crew chimed in. Shaq said for him personally, whenever he never won, it was a failure. I mean, if he never won the championship that year, that season, it was a failure. And he said that's the way he was raised off the older players, the OGs, that, if you don't win, it's a failure. Then Charles Barkley chimed in and said he doesn't necessarily consider it a failure. You don't always win. He also said Giannis missed 3 games almost. It could have been a total different series if Giannis played all the games. Because remember, he missed 3 games basically, technically. So that's what Charles Barkley said. So Kenny and Charles somewhat agree with Giannis. But Shaq, his view is different. He feels like whenever you don't win, it's a failure. And my take on the situation is it just depends on the player and the mindset. Not saying Giannis' mindset is bad because he doesn't consider not winning or losing a failure. It all depends on the player. If it was a player like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, then it's a failure. Every season they don't win is considered a failure. But it's all based on personnel. So Giannis went on a big rant, during his post-game interview. At one point he got agitated, but he had to catch himself because he told the reporter, I don't want to make it personal. And then he proceeded to explain himself on why the season wasn't a failure and it's a process. So even though Giannis feels like the season wasn't a failure, so Coach Bud feels otherwise. So this is what Coach Bud had to say. I respect the question. I understand the question. This team has incredibly high expectations. We're disappointed. We're frustrated. It hurts. But I said it all year. We love this team. We love these guys. I believe in them. We believe in them. We didn't get it done tonight, but to me, just disappointed, hurt, frustrated. I think it's more characteristic of how we feel about tonight. So that is what the coach had to say. And in Giannis' case, there's no such thing as a failure. It all depends on the player and who you're dealing with. Because for somebody like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, it would definitely be a failure. At least that's what their mentality is like. They would feel like it's a failure. We didn't win this year. Especially if you're the number 1 seed and you go out in the first round. I mean, let's be real. When you're the number 1 seed in the East with the best record, your fans have high expectations for you. I mean, everybody does, There are high expectations for this team. So nobody saw this team going out in the first round. Even though Giannis was hurt for most of the series, we still can't make excuses. They got bounced in the first round and it's disappointing. So maybe disappointing is more of a word than failure, I guess. But obviously in the off season, they got to address some things like, what do you want to do with Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday? They didn't live up to expectation. At least this postseason, they didn't come through for Giannis when he needed them. They did win 1 game without him during his injury's absence, but at the end of the day, they still lost because they weren't good enough. Giannis came back for 2 games, so he was available for 2 games at least, but his supporting cast didn't play to the level that he needed them to at least advance or force a game 6, and they're eliminated. So once again, Shaq said whenever he didn't win, it was a failure. The same thing Kobe Bryant said. So this is what Kobe Bryant said when they lost. The goal was to win a championship. It wasn't to win MVP or anything like that. It was to win a championship. So in that aspect, we failed. So that's what Kobe said when they lost. So as you can see, everybody have their own views on things. But then again, you got to also look at error. Kobe Bryant came up under Michael Jordan and others. And Shaq came up under Olajuwon, Ewing, and others. So you could understand. The mindset is different. But I would say most would consider losing in the playoff a failure. That's just what it is. I respect Giannis' approach, and I get it, what he's saying, but the majority would say, okay, we failed. If you didn't win the chip or you didn't advance, we failed. In 2008, when the Kevin Garnett Boston Celtics took down the Lakers, Kobe said we failed. And he came back the following season and he righted the wrong and he won his championship. If Giannis wasn't hurt, it would have been a totally different series. I don't have to argue that. We all know this. When your best player missed 3 games in the playoff, more than likely you're going to lose. It's just a fact. But beyond that, they got to figure out some things with Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. They still got a good core, so it's not like they can't win in the future, obviously, but they might have to make some moves to get some upgrades. They might need to move 1 or 2 pieces, so we'll see what happens in the offseason. But like I said again, in Kobe's case, he didn't make any excuses. He said it was a failure. The season was a failure, plain and simple. The same thing Shaq said. There was no excuses or, it's not a failure. But once again, it's mindset. I mean, my thoughts on whether the season was a failure or not, it's a failure. If you don't win, it's a failure. That's just how I see it. There's no excuses. There's no way around it. If you went to the playoff as the number 1 seed and you got defeated by the number 8 seed in the first round, the entire season was a failure. There's no argument to it. But hey, man, Giannis have till next year to, get back. He'll see success again once again. It's unfortunate he got injured during the playoff in the first round. That's unfortunate, but things happen. But as always, I'll holla. As always, we just talking basketball. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, holla at your boy. It's all about the game and how you play it. It's all about the game. I'ma say it. It's all about the game.